Are you being sarcastic about them selling the team? Because that is one of the kind of vague,
No, I think they're going to. I think they want to. The Arlington Heights thing, which came out yesterday, they're trying to, they're putting a bid to buy Arlington Heights, which for people who aren't familiar is about 30 miles outside of 30 miles from where Soldier Field is, 45-minute drive. It's a huge spot where they can put a stadium, where they can build something around it, make it state-of-the-art. The Bears have a bad stadium situation. It's the smallest in the entire NFL, which is just like crazy because Chicago is the biggest city without two teams. It's outdated. They renovated it 20 years ago. It's already outdated. It looks beautiful, but the Park District owns it, so the Bears don't even own their own stadium. So I think this is a two-part move, Mike. They basically are saying, hey, we want you to add more seats to Soldier Field, renovate it again, or we're going to bid on Arlington, we're going to buy the land, and then guess what? Someone who wants to come buy the Bears, if we had already purchased the land, we could be the most valuable franchise in the NFL because you'd have a state-of-the-art stadium, you'd own it, all these things. So I would not be shocked if the McCaskies sell in the next 5 years. I know that we've been saying it for a while, but they are unlike any other setup in the NFL right now where it's a mom and pop shop. It's not the McCaskies have money because they had a big, billion-dollar corporation before the Bears. The Bears are their money. So if you're going to split up the pie and you have like a bunch of grandkids and great-grandkids, you got to sell it to split up the pie. So I think that's going to happen eventually. I really do.
Well, and here's the problem. I don't want to get too far down the legal rabbit hole. After all, great guy, terrible lawyer. But the estate taxes will become an issue. How have they set this up so that when Virginia passes, they're able to pay the estate tax bill and still have enough cash on hand to operate the team? Sometimes what you got to do is start selling off equity to pay the estate tax. And there have been multiple sales over the years of NFL franchises. Jack Kent Cooke, for example, had to sell. Who was the owner before Wayne Huizenga? Joe Robbie of the Dolphins. Family had to sell. They had to sell to pay the estate taxes. There's concern when Al Davis's widow passes, they're going to have to sell the Raiders to pay the estate taxes. That's going to be an issue for these families that don't have otherwise billions in the coffers. And you may be onto something here.
Yeah, right. The Arlington site, and this rumor, that they might sell the team has been going on forever, right? But the Arlington site does give them a chip where if they were to sell the team, they can either say, well, we have this and you can negotiate with the city of Chicago and figure out a new stadium situation, or we have this and you can build your own stadium, and now the price skyrockets. Because if the Bears own their own stadium, it's a state-of-the-art stadium. You can have a Super Bowl, you can have a WrestleMania, you can have the Final Four, you can have the Big Ten championship game, all these events that Chicago just gets passed over for because it's, Soldier Field's small and it's outdoors. It changes the dynamic of what the price tag is and how much money that the McCaskies could potentially reap from this sale.
And let me say on behalf of the folks at Peacock, since Peacock exclusively streams WrestleMania, thank you for listing WrestleMania before the Final Four. Let me throw one more curveball at you before we move on, because we have a fun little exercise we're going to do to cap this segment. Is Chicago big enough to have two teams, two NFL teams?
I mean, yeah, it's population-wise, because like I said, it's the third biggest city it's the biggest city in the NFL that doesn't have two teams. LA and New York obviously have two teams. I don't think
would it work? Would two teams work?
I don't think so. I do not think so. I think it would be a very hard sell just because it's steeped in tradition, and it would be a very, very hard sell in my mind.
Because if someone's going to buy that team and build their own, it's the Stan Kroenke model. You build the stadium, and then you have a tenant, another Chicago team. And as these other teams start looking around for stadium situations, and they may be disgruntled, dissatisfied with theirs, and they don't want to have to pay all of it, and they try to find somebody to pay part of it. I've been saying for a few years now that, and if there's expansion of the league, which I think is coming in the next 5 to 10 years, they haven't talked about it yet, but I think they will. I think a second team in Chicago makes sense. And if there's a state-of-the-art stadium that holds 80,000 people, and it's, 30 miles outside of town. I think that it's something to keep an eye on.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.